review is super late, but I still think it's worth talking about because, it just relatively came out. But yeah, today I'm reviewing Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, but I'm not gonna say that whole entire title throughout the video. So yeah, for now, let's just refer to it as Captain Underpants, the movie. Basically, to sum up the plot, Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch are two friends that pull pranks, and they have this mean principal, Mr. Krupp, played by Ed Helms, and so they pull a prank, and Mr. Krupp separates them, and then they're like, yo, that's not cool, we're not gonna sit back and take that, and so they hypnotize Mr. Krupp, and they create him into this character they created called Captain Underpants, and he's like this bizarre superhero that only wears a cape and underpants. Now, I was really never someone that grew up with Captain Underpants. I was more of a Diver Wimpy kid, but I'm not even going to talk about this new one. I didn't even choose to see the new one because I was just like, nope. But yeah, like I said, I never grew up with Captain Underpants. I have all the books, or most of them, I think. I have up to like book number 4 or something. But I've read a couple of them, and I enjoyed them for what they were, but they were never my cup of tea. But when I heard they were making a movie, I was interested because they've never made a movie about Captain Underpants before. I mean, we've had 3 Diary of Wimpy Kids, and or 4, my mistake, 4. See, it goes to show that I don't even remember that they made this new one last month. But yeah, we've had 4 Diary of Wimpy Kids already, and we've never had a first Captain Underpants movie. And now that we do, it was interesting to see if it was going to be good or bad. I think the best way to describe my opinion after seeing the movie is the way I described it of what it was like when I read the books. They weren't my cup of tea. And I'm not saying this movie was bad, because when I say it's not my cup of tea, it makes it sound like it's bad, kind of. But the way I'm thinking of it was, there's an audience that it's directed towards, and that's die-hard Captain Underpants fans. That's the same thing with Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Those movies are directed towards Diary of a Wimpy Kid fans. Captain Underpants is directed towards Captain Underpants fans. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Captain Underpants, and it's not because it was bad, it just didn't appeal to me. So this movie probably wasn't going to, be on my radar or something for like one of my favorite movies of 2017. And I'm not saying the movie was bad, because, it wasn't great. That's just my non-biased opinion based on what I've thought of the books. Just a movie reviewer-wise, the movie wasn't the best. It was, I don't know. It's decent. It's something that's more meant, for parents to take their kids to for like 75 minutes. It's not even that long. It's like, I think, 88 minutes. It's just something for parents to take their kids to and just be like, oh yeah, enjoy this for a while. I'll be sitting over here in the corner doing my taxes. One of the biggest problems with the movie is that there's so much exposition. They have to explain everything to the audience. It's literally like they're thinking the whole audience is like 5-year-old kids. And so throughout the whole movie, there's literally points where they'll just freeze what's going on in the background, and the 2 characters, George and Harold, will look at the screen and start talking to the audience and to each other and be like, oh yeah, this is why we do this, or this is how we met, or this is why this guy sucks, or like, I don't know, it was really weird, and it was kind of annoying after a while because they do it like 5 times. It's just like, oh, okay, we get it. We can figure it out ourselves. There's literally a whole scene, and I won't say what it is. It's not even a spoiler. Well, it's towards the end, and basically they delete the whole scene, and they're just like, yeah, this is what happens, but we can't animate it. And it's kind of a throwback to the books, but it's still weird because they explain the whole scene to us. They're like, and this is what happened, and then this is what happened, and then this is what happened, and now we're here, and then the movie resumes. And that was a little annoying. And they do it, I don't know, they just do that kind of stuff throughout the whole movie. Just so much exposition. And it was just, I don't know, it was kind of getting like weird after a while. It's just like, oh, so you might as well just, this might as well just be the director's commentary. I liked Nick Kroll as the bad guy, actually. I will say that. He did do a good job as the bad guy, but they made him... The problem was there were points where he was good, and then there were points where he was like overly cartoony, and it's just like, oh, okay. I get they're doing that on purpose. They wanted to make the character cartoony on purpose, but there's like one thing that they do towards the end with the character, like they reveal something about the character, and it's just like, oh, that's a little bit too cartoony, but okay, I get why you're doing it. You're trying to get, the little kids to laugh, but I don't know, I felt like it was a bit cartoony. And here's the thing, I get it. The movie's directed towards little kids. This movie isn't meant to appeal to someone that's 16 years old. But here's the issue with that. What about the people that actually grew up with the books? I don't know how old the books are. Let's say they're, from the early 2000s, and most kids read those when they were like, 5 years old. And so those kids are grown up now. So they're probably seeing, trailers and posters for this movie and being like, oh yeah, I remember that. I want to go see that because I grew up with those books. And then they go to the movie and it's just like, oh, this movie isn't directed towards me. This is directed towards this generation's youth. But those kids didn't grow up with those Captain Underpants books. So why are they... I don't know. I'm going to ramble on for a second. But like the movie is just super cartoony. Like... I'm going to compare this to the Lego Batman movie because that movie, I felt like the Lego movie, which is great, that appealed to every single type of audience, adults, teenagers, and little kids because everyone's grown up with Legos. And so that movie appealed to everyone. But then Lego Batman, I just felt like that really appealed to only little kids. I mean, it was good, but I just felt like that movie wasn't meant for kids my age, young adults. Or even adults themselves. I just didn't feel like that. And I think that's the same thing with this movie. Why make a movie just appeal to this youth, like this generation's youth, when you have a generation that actually grew up with the books? So you should also try to make it appeal to them too, and not just be making poop and pee jokes every 5 seconds in the movie, because, I don't know. I felt like this movie was really meant just for this youth's generation, and they didn't even grow up with the books. I really feel like I'm ripping this movie a new one. It's not as bad as I'm making it seem like it is. It's just there are so many weird little elements to it that's just like, oh, why would you go down that road when you could have done this? Because I feel like this movie, I mean, I don't know how much this movie made. I think I checked a couple minutes ago. I think it was like $73 million on a budget of $30 million. In my eyes, that's not really a box office flop, but it's not the best. I mean, it still made a bunch of money. But I feel like with a name like this, a title, Captain Underpants, this movie should be making more money. And this movie's been out for, almost a month now? And I don't know, I haven't really heard that much about it. I think just the marketing with this wasn't that good, and like how much money it's made for how long it's been out, and the name, Captain Underpants, that movie should be making a lot more, but it's not, and so that's just disappointing for this movie. It has the background from the books and from the cult following to be amazing and huge, but it just wasn't. I think if I'm going to have to rate Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, anything, I'm going to go with a 4 out of 10. I didn't feel this movie. It didn't really appeal to me. I think it was only meant towards one specific type of audience, which sucks because it could appeal to numerous types of audiences, but it didn't. So yeah, I would probably try to steer clear of this one. It wasn't, the best movie. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you've liked what you listened to on here and you want to listen to more, go comment, like, and subscribe. I would really appreciate that, and it would really be helpful. The links to all of my social medias are down below in the description. Other than that, this has been A Talk in Depth.